Hi guys. Visa applications can be very challenging at times. You spend a lot of time researching the requirements online, you gather those documents, you submit your application online or on paper, and then you anxiously wait. And sometimes after waiting for months, you can end up getting a refusal. There are some countries where the refusal rates for certain types of visas is extremely high. I can think of one country in particular where the refusal rate for TRVs is up to 80%. So what do you do in such a case? In a lot of temporary visa applications, the immigration officer will not give you an opportunity to respond to his concerns or her concerns. Your visa application will just be refused. And on other applications, for example, permanent resident applications, you will be given a chance to respond to immigration officers' concerns, which is also known as procedural fairness. So what can you do if you've had a visa refusal? For certain types of PR applications, you can appeal to the Immigration Appeal Division. You have that option. While for other types of applications, for example, TRVs, study permits, you do not have the right of appeal. The only thing that you can do is to apply for a judicial review to see if the federal court will help you in this matter. But that procedure can be very expensive. So what else can you do? Often a quicker solution is to try to address the visa officer's concerns and reapply. Make a stronger application, and especially making sure that you address those concerns that got your visa refused in the first place. Still, there are no guarantees. At the end of the day, it is the visa officer's decision. They try their best to make these decisions within the confines of the law, within the mandate that's been given to them. But it's a subjective decision at the end of the day. It's how they interpret the law. To move forward, one has to look at the refusal letter and then look at your application and see where the gaps were. Another option is to actually get a more detailed idea of what really happened by requesting the visa officer's notes. So the system in which they enter information about your application, their comments, their detailed reasons for refusal, you can actually request those notes from the visa officer. Isn't that amazing? This is called Access to Information and Privacy, also known as ATIP. This is due to two acts of the Canadian government, Access to Information Act and the Privacy Act. These two acts basically enable transparency and accountability within the Canadian government so the people can know what information has been stored about them. In this video, I'm going to share a reference guide on how you can make this request online and get detailed information about your application, the reasons for refusal, what the visa officer was thinking, and how you can address those concerns. In order to make this request, you must be a resident of Canada. You can either be a Canadian citizen, permanent resident, or be here on a temporary basis, for example, on a study permit, work permit, or just visiting. But of course, if your application was denied, chances are you are not in Canada, so you will need the help of a Canadian resident for this application. The fee is very nominal, it's just $5 Canadian. Let's go through the online application procedure to apply for an ATIP or Access to Information and Privacy. In case you're wondering, why does the government of Canada share such confidential information with you? After all, these were the notes that the immigration officer was writing in his or her own management system. Why are they sharing it with you? These next two acts of the Canadian government are the main reasons why this information is shared with you. The first act is called Access to Information Act, and as it states, the purpose of the act is to enhance the accountability and transparency of federal institutions in order to promote an open and democratic society and to enable public debate on the conduct of those institutions. So the government wants to share these information with the public, so all of the decisions are transparent, and so the public may have an opportunity to debate and to discuss and to challenge these decisions and to propose improvements. This is how a democracy should work. The second act is the Privacy Act, which states that the purpose of this act is to extend the present laws of Canada that protect the privacy of individuals with respect to personal information about themselves held by a government institution, and that provide individuals with a right of access to that information. It is the Information Act which mainly deals with ATIP requests that we make for accessing those immigration or visa related files. So as a result of these two acts, we have this opportunity to look at what the case officers have written about us and why they refuse our application. So how do we start this process? First of all, you will log into this link. I will also put this link in the description. Once you open this website, you will have this in front of you, and you will click on Next. Then after reading the privacy notice, you will check this option and click continue. After clicking on that, you will see high-level steps. The requester of information, that is you, will go through act and record selection. Then you will attach the documents, review, and validate. So first of all, you will choose the department where you would like to submit the access to information or privacy request. The department in our case will be IRCC, Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship Canada. So from this drop-down menu, you will choose IRCC as shown. Once you've chosen the department, the next option will be you will be asked whether you're a Canadian citizen, a permanent resident, or an individual or corporation currently present in Canada. So remember that you need to be one out of these three to make this request. So if you're someone who's outside of Canada and you applied for a visa and your visa was refused, you cannot make this request on your own. You will have to request a Canadian citizen, a permanent resident, or another individual or corporation currently present in Canada, even on a temporary basis, and they can make this request for you. If you have a family member or a friend here, they can do this for you. Otherwise, immigration consultants and lawyers can also help you with this request. Once you choose the option, the next step will be to input your surname, your given name, your street number, street name, that is your address in Canada. You will input all of that information, city, province, country, postal code, your telephone number. It has to be in this exact format with the hyphen, otherwise the system will give you an error. Once you're done with that, you will enter your email address, re-enter your email address, and then the next option, the next question is, are you requesting this information on your own behalf or for someone else? So suppose you've asked a friend to request this information for you, he will choose no. The next question is, are you requesting information concerning a deceased individual? So again, select no. And the next option will be to choose the category that best describes you. Most of the cases, it will be member of the public. And then how would you prefer to receive the records? You have an option of receiving it on email or via DVD. Once you click continue, you will see this message on the next page. What type of information are you requesting? Personal information is usually requested under the Privacy Act. There are no fees charged for requests made under the Privacy Act. The purpose of the Privacy Act is to protect the privacy of individuals with respect to personal information about themselves, where it is held by a government institution, and to provide individuals with the right to access such information. Note, personal information which belongs to an individual who is not a Canadian citizen, a permanent resident of Canada, or currently living in Canada must be requested under the Access to Information Act. Basically, what this means, as we discussed earlier, is that if you are someone who is not in Canada, you will need to make this request under Access to Information Act. All government records, which include corporate documents and personal information, may be requested under Access to the Information Act. The application fee for request made under Access to Information Act is just $5 Canadian, and the purpose of Access to Information Act is to provide a right of access to records under the control of a government institution to Canadian citizens, permanent residents, or any individual or corporation present in Canada. So from this drop-down menu, among the two options of Access to Information Act and the Privacy Act, you will choose the first one, Access to Information Act. Then it will ask you which types of records do you wish to request. You will choose immigration or citizenship records. Then this is the place where the person requesting the information will write the name of the person for whom he is or she is requesting the records. So in this particular case, this will be you, the person who got his or her visa refused. So this requires your surname, your given name, your date of birth, and if you have your client ID number, you can mention it over here. It should generally be in your refusal letter. You can find your client ID number, also referred to as Unique Client Identifier Number or UCI number, on any official document issued to you by Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada Office, Case Processing Center, or Canadian Visa Office outside Canada. Your client ID consists of 4 numbers, a hyphen and 4 more numbers, or 2 numbers, a hyphen, 4 numbers, a hyphen and 4 more numbers. So your UCI number can be in one of these 2 formats. You should look at that number. You can also find it on your refusal letter. So in all of the communication from IRCC, you will find this number somewhere on the top of that document. So the next option is what type of record would you like to request? So if you apply for a TRV visit visa, you will click on temporary residence. If you applied for a permanent residence or spousal sponsorship, express entry profile, whatever your case is, you will request this option from this drop-down menu. Then you will be asked to choose whether you need reasons for refusal or you need your actual application, supporting documents, and correspondence to and from IRCC. So you have one of these two options. If you click on the first option, you will receive the GCMS notes, the copy of immigration officers, case officers' notes about your application. So if you've had a refusal, you should probably choose this option. Then you will enter your file number, which is your immigration file number, which can be found on any IRCC document or letter that they sent to you. Next step is to upload a consent form. The purpose of this option is to make sure that your information is protected. Otherwise, anyone could get their hands on anyone else's private information, but this form ensures that the government will only give information about you if you have already given your consent. That consent form has to be uploaded over here, and it looks something like this. It's just a simple one-page form which has the following sections. At the very top, you mention the designated representative's information. So the person in Canada who is making this request for you, their family name, given name, address, name of their organization, phone number, and email address. So basic information about them. Part 2 is applicant's information. So this is all of the information about you, including your signatures. Your signatures have to be in blue ink, so be careful that you sign it properly with blue ink. And if there are other individuals related to you, their information can also be requested using this one form. For example, your family members, but they also have to sign it. Once you fill in the form, you will upload it and it will show you a summary of the information. This is just anonymous information that you can see here as an example. Again, some more information. You chose Access to Information Act for immigration and citizenship records, name of the person, date of birth, temporary residence, and you require case officers' electronic notes. You will then certify that all of this information is true and you are not misrepresenting yourself. Everything is true, and then you will click continue. You will then be taken to the payment page, where you will click on proceed to secure checkout to pay the $5. You will have an option to pay this fee through your credit card. You can choose one option, pay your fee. This is what the fee payment page will look like. The person will enter the credit card information and click on process transaction. By the way, this is also the screen that you see when you are applying for other types of visas online. And that's it. You will submit your application. You will receive a confirmation email, and then you wait. By doing this, you will receive visa officer's notes, which should give you a detailed idea on what really happened with your application. Now, the processing time advertised online on the website is 30 days, but in most of the cases, it can exceed 30 days. There have been times where I've received a response within 30 days. Other times, I've waited for months to get a response from the government. So by making this request, you are actually getting the visa officer's notes, and they enter these notes into a system called GCMS, or Global Case Management System. Think of it as an electronic diary where you make your notes about a particular incident or about a particular person. It's the equivalent of that, but for the Canadian government, for IRCC. By making this request, you end up receiving a copy of GCMS notes for your application. You can actually see what the visa officer wrote about you, what concerns he has about your application, so you can eventually address those concerns. But anyhow, this is a tool in your arsenal. You don't have to do it, but it can be really useful at times, especially in cases where reasons are not evident. There have been times where clients have come to me and they've told me that I've had this TRV refusal. Can you help me out? And I try to look at their previous application, and there are times where something is very clearly missing, or it was just a weak application. In those cases, I don't necessarily request ATIP notes because I think there is a potential to improve this application. There are a lot of things that can be improved. There are other times where the application seems to be good, but it's hard to say what exactly went wrong in this application. These are the times where it really makes a lot of sense to request these GCMS notes. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please do subscribe to the channel where you can gain access to a lot more videos on Canadian immigration, visas, life in Canada, interviews of professionals, so you can enhance your knowledge, get an idea of the Canadian lifestyle. Also, if you click on the bell icon, you will get a notification as soon as I upload a video. If there's a major change in IRCC's policies, if there's something that you need to know, I will make sure I make a video about it. Thank you very much for watching. Take care. I'll see you in the next one.